It's time to speak truth in the midst of chaos, to discern fact from fiction in a world of agendas. To take control of your thoughts, define the truth, and live a life set free. It is time for counseling beyond the couch.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Awaken 360's Counseling Beyond the Couch with Heather Freeman, licensed professional counselor, trauma-informed CBT therapist, and founder and director of Awaken 360, along with myself, Jenny Sotai. I'm a licensed professional nurse for the last 20 years. We have, 35 years of experience together, Heather?
Roughly, psychiatric settings, yeah.
Okay. Please remember, this show is not a substitute for counseling, but it is a great addition too. Today's show is going to be brought to you by Awaken 360. Awaken 360 is a non-profit trauma counseling center located in Springfield, Missouri, with a mission to restore hope and empower the community through psychoeducation, groups, specialized trauma counseling, and community partnership. Get started today at awaken360.org, or you can call us at 417-889-5483 and get connected with a professional today. So, Heather, let's finish up on the review of cognitive distortions today.
Woohoo! Sounds fun.
All right, and we're going to answer some a listener's question. We'll get to that later in the show. Or you want to hear it right now?
It's you.
Okay, let's hear the question, and then we can answer it later. As many families today, my husband and I are living in a multi-generational household where my daughter, her husband, and 3 children live in the basement. God has blessed me with a big enough home for our situation, and I am thankful for that. Both parents work, and I babysit during the week while they're at work. But I'm starting to feel like I'm parenting an extra 5 children in my house. I'm babysitting beyond my children's work hours and often end up feeding the kids dinner and supervising their outside play. I'm also babysitting a lot on Saturdays. How can I set some boundaries so that I can enjoy my grandchildren instead of parenting them, while also maintaining a positive relationship with my adult child?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
That's a mouthful.
That is a lot, yeah. Yeah, we're definitely going to give some time for that one.
Awesome. And then someone has a question for you, Heather, as a licensed therapist.
All right, that question is for someone who wants to pursue a career as a licensed therapist. Can you please explain the process, hardships, and advice that you have for someone who just started school to become a licensed therapist? Absolutely, I'd be happy to.
Awesome. We got some really great questions today, and so we want to encourage everybody to keep sending those in. We love answering those for you. I know we've left a few cliffhangers in the previous shows, such as addressing a growing report of church hurt or church trauma. Those are big words.
Yes.
Defining what healthy relationships are, and diving into how to have good boundaries, as well as expanding on healthy coping strategies and how often we botch the process because we stop at step 1.
Yes.
So you'll be expanding on that as well, Heather?
A little bit in future shows, yeah.
All right. Stay tuned for future shows as we take time for each of these topics.
Yeah, and if you guys have questions, if you guys have things that you specifically want us to hit in the radio show, please remember you can email us at contact@awaken360.org. You can also jump onto our Facebook page. That's CBC on 92.3 Kick FM on Facebook, and send that over on Messenger.
Okay, Heather, welcome to the Reframe.
Woo-hoo.
A Berean Breakdown is a practical bite-sized look at cognitive behavioral therapy tools, translating as simple psychological concepts into everyday strategies for managing thoughts, shifting perspectives, and building healthier habits. What do you got for us?
Well, the Berean Breakdown is brought to you by Backyard Pyro in Southwest Missouri. They are a premier year-round climate-controlled fireworks showroom. They're located in Rogersville, Missouri. They proudly serve the entire Springfield, Ozark, Nixa, Republic, Rogersville, and Stratford area. Skip the seasonal roadside tents and browse their massive selection of high-quality consumer fireworks in comfort. Their air-conditioned brick-and-mortar store is open year-round. You can shop online and pick up in the store or just browse their shelves. Come see for yourself why they have customers who drive from across the Midwest to buy just from them. They blow away the competition. Shop from the comfort of your home to take advantage of their low prices. They have tons of products to choose from, most of them with performance videos so you can see and make sure what you're getting and that you're getting the best bang for your backyard. They love to answer questions, so you can call or text them at 417-227-0291 or visit them on Facebook. That's Backyard Pyro, located in Rogersville, Missouri. I can speak from experience. My husband sent me over there with a list of stuff to get, and I am not fireworks savvy. I absolutely hate being on the kid duty because I'm terrified somebody's going to blow themselves up with a firecracker the whole time. And so I'm a nervous wreck the whole time I get put on that. So I absolutely make sure my husband runs the fireworks show, and my nephew, who I can yell at him if something bad happens. Gets to run the kids. But I went over there. They have those cool carts, the wagons that you can pull behind. You can throw all of your fireworks in. I handed over the list of stuff that my husband had asked me to get, and I said, I have no idea what I'm getting. Go find it for me, please. And they had one of their people came over and just walked through the store with me and grabbed everything my husband had on the list. I got home, I got everything he wanted. I didn't have to pay a ton of money for it, and it was pretty cool. Put on an amazing show. So
awesome! I'm gonna head over there for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's air conditioned. You're not in a hot,
Heather,
sweaty tent.
I'm definitely heading over.
I know. So Backyard Pyro, guys, that's where you get your 4th of July needs met. So
and your wives will shop much longer in an air-conditioned area.
Yes. All right, so let's finish up on the cognitive distortions that we started. We have already gone over polarized thinking. So as a quick refresher, guys, I just want to remind everybody too listening, these are just a very small snapshot on common cognitive distortions. That's number one. Number two, everybody and their brother and mother struggle with faulty thinking. We all, your therapist included, struggles with these at times. So it is really important, number one, to be aware of these common footfalls in our thinking, and two, to have a really great preconceived truth to challenge these unhealthy thinking patterns. Because when you get into a good habit of, number one, being able to recognize them, and then two, being able to challenge them and hold them to truth, it's going to make it so much faster before you react to them, because you've already trained your mind. Trigger, emotion, response. So retraining your mind, trigger, think about what you're doing, think about how you're thinking, challenge it, reframe it, and then emotion and response.
And Heather, that sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of power in just the first part of that, in recognizing the thinking error.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, think about it. We were talking about hiking before we went on the air, right?
Right.
And Pikes Peak and going to different places, right? So if you're walking along a path and you recognize, okay, this is not going to be straight pavement. I'm going to have to pay a lot of attention to where my feet go. I'm going to have to pay a lot of attention to my footing. If you're more cognizant of that in life with your thinking, you're going to pay much closer attention. You're going to be able to recognize that uneven rock that keeps shifting from side to side as people are walking on it in front of you. So when you go to step on it, you're going to automatically anticipate it's going to shift underneath your feet. You'll be less likely to fall and stumble on that stone than you would before, just because you're paying more attention to it.
Absolutely, and I love that.
So let's go real quick through these.
Okay.
Polarized thinking, that is that all or nothing thinking, that black or white, either you're with me or you're against me. Either you agree with everything that I agree with, or you disagree with everything.
Or you do it my way, Heather.
Or the highway.
Or the highway.
Oh my goodness, I'm singing a song now.
Oh my. This is
My
talk
way
radio.
or
We
the
won't
highway.
do that to you guys.
I couldn't help myself, I'm sorry. Okay.
I love it.
So yes, black or white thinking is polarized thinking, and it's really a very common one, and we see it a lot in relationship dynamics. We see it a lot with people interacting with one another. We talked, I think, in one of our previous shows about how polarized our society is becoming because of this concept. So this is one that a lot of people are falling into right now. And the way that we discussed last time to pull yourself out of it is to look at the things that you do have in common, and not to use that second one, which is mental filter. Don't only focus on the one area that you disagree, or even the 10 areas that you disagree. I bet there's 20 areas that you do agree upon. Ice cream's pretty good. Most people like cake.
Yeah.
Right? So look at the things that you do agree with. And so that's polarized thinking. That's mental filtering. Mental filtering has two different types. One is the negative mental filtering. which, you're only looking at the one negative comment. If you're giving somebody some advice or you're giving them a review of how they've done, and you say you did 8 things perfectly, but there's this one thing that you need to work on. If that person
failure at that point.
Exactly, yeah, because you're only focusing on the one thing that you needed to work on, that you need to improve upon. And
I experienced this early in my nursing career, Heather.
Yeah.
I got a really great review. I think you could only get a 5. I think I got a 4.8.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Well, not for me. I was supposed to get a 5, and I obsessed on that so much that on my next review, I did well there, but other places were lacking because I had focused in so much on that 0.2%.
On that 0.2, yeah. Well, sports, you see this a lot. Hey, you're fielding really, really well, but a lot of people, whenever the coach gives them feedback, will fixate on that feedback, and then it drives them absolutely up the wall. The other type of mental filtering is disqualifying the positive and essentially saying, well, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. That's not important. That's not what people are looking at. But you did a great job, but it doesn't matter because I did this and this and this. And
Right.
So you're not looking at any of the positives, saying it was a fluke instead of recognizing that it was hard work, it was just luck, kind of attributing it to anything other than the fact that it was a good experience.
And not as obviously any type of therapist, but a shout out to those people. That's really annoying from the other side. To acknowledge someone's positive attributes and then have them come back at you with all their negative attributes. And it makes encouraging them exhausting. And I think you will see that people begin to encourage you less.
Yeah, it's hard for people, I think, sometimes to take a compliment.
It is.
Yeah.
But change that.
Yeah, so number 3, overgeneralization. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory, but we tend to do it a lot. If you have a bad experience at a restaurant, you assume that all restaurants that are under that same chain are going to be bad. If you receive a bad grade on an exam, you think you're stupid or a failure and believe that all the rest of your exams are going to be bad as well. Jumping to conclusions, that would be mind reading.
Oh, I'm so good at that, Heather.
How so?
Are you telling me it's wrong?
Might be something.
Maybe we
you
should
need to
address
work on.
that. That might take more than an hour to address that in my mind.
Fortune telling is another good one. Catastrophizing, I always think that's a fun word to watch people stumble over.
Yeah, I'm not going to try it.
Magnification and minimization. Personalization, taking things personal. You attend a party, but all your friends are busy engaging with everybody else, so you feel like they don't have any interest in you. They got interrupted in the middle of your conversation and they forgot to come back to it, so that automatically must mean that what you were talking about was not interesting and that they didn't care about it.
Oh, my sister struggles with this.
Uh-oh, Jenny.
Yep, I'm going to put her out there.
Fair warning.
We're family, and, if I have an event, family is welcome, but my sister will text me and say things like, how come I wasn't invited to, the barbecue? Well, first of all, I just told our mother about it like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, gosh.
So, I haven't even had time to invite you, Ashley. However, the invitation is always open, so I'll help her work on that.
as evidenced just now.
Yes. Like with mind reading.
Right. Blaming is the next one. Pointing the finger at other people for actions that have been taken, assuming the victim mentality. That's a hard one. I see that happen in a lot of marriage counseling sessions. Rule number 1, and this is something we're going to get into in a future show, is going to be about healthy relationships and some basic rules to maintain that. But rule number 1, you cannot blame other people for how you respond to them. It's up to you how you respond to them. They have to take accountability for what they put out there, yes, but it's up to you for how you respond to that. So super quick, I know that we flew by those really, really fast, and we'll take some time in future shows to kind of dive into some of those a little bit more, but I wanted to give you some just real basic tools on common cognitive distortions. All right, so that part of the show, guys, is supported by Awaken 360's Y Cruise. Awaken 360 takes counseling beyond the couch by empowering our future generations with the skills to overcome mental illness by implementing preventative approaches, educating good mental health habits, community service and collaboration, while supporting students in their pursuit of secondary education through community-supported scholarships. Parents and guardians, you can register your youth ages 12 to 18 in Awaken 360 Y Cruise at awaken360.org. If you guys would like to inquire about volunteering to lead a Y Crew, please call Jessica at 417-889-5483.
I have a question about the Y Cruise.
Shoot.
So this has been on my mind. So if there is a church organization and they want to take their youth group and get them enrolled in the Y program, is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. They may, depending on the size, they may not all be in the same crew. They may be split, just depending, into smaller groups, because a good group size is around 10 to 12.
Right.
Being your cap. If it gets too much bigger than that, you have a hard time for people being able to have a space. But around that 10 to 12 number is a pretty solid number. It gives them an opportunity to really form those close-knit ties, and that's the goal, is to create community.
I have a fire in my heart about this program, and I'm so excited about it. So if you're hearing this and you want to get a group together, don't hesitate. God has laid a certain child on your heart. Get out there and make it happen, and give Awaken 360 a call.
Beautiful. All right, so we are going to go ahead and head early into Off the Couch Conversations. We want to make sure that we give time for those two questions that were written in today. So
Okay.
Off the Couch Conversations is a really relatable conversational segment that we have. It's inspired by real therapy questions and listener submissions. It explores life's everyday dilemmas through reflective prompts, offering perspective, validation, and practical insight. No therapy couch required. To be a part of the conversation, please email your questions to Heather and Jenny at contact@awaken360.org. Like I said, you guys can also jump onto our Facebook page. That's CBC Counseling Beyond the Couch on 92.3 FM, Kick Radio. Check us out on Facebook, like, share, and follow our page.
Okay, Heather, let me just recap this first question for you. I'm going to put it in my own words.
Do it.
So basically, it sounds like we have a listener. They're cohabitating in, that multi-generational household that I think a lot of people are experiencing these days.
Yeah, rent's expensive.
So, and so it looks like she's doing a lot of babysitting while the parents are at work, but that's also extended over into evening times where she's feeding them dinner, supervising their outside play, and she's feeling more like the parent of all these children than the grandparent she should be at this point. She wants to know, how can she set boundaries so that she can enjoy her grandchildren instead of parenting them while also maintaining a positive relationship with her adult child?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Zooming out, taking it some of the specifics out of this, right? I would say it sounds like somebody offered to do a favor to a family member, right? And then that favor has kind of expanded beyond the original scope of what was expected or anticipated. And it's really hard whenever you offer a favor or you open up that door to know how to start closing it back a little bit to where you wanted it to be in the first place.
Right.
There can be some concerns, especially when it's family, about ruffling feathers or offending, or of that person going in the polar opposite, right? I want to watch my grandbabies. I want to be able to take care of them, but I do want there to be an end point.
Absolutely.
And not be, grandma watching over the kids around the clock. And so, that can make things very difficult.
Right.
So when it comes to boundaries, I always preface any conversation about boundaries of saying everybody has a different flair with how they handle boundaries. We all have different preferences on how we are assertive with one another.
Right.
Because this is going to require you to be assertive.
Yep.
And not everybody is comfortable with that.
To someone you love.
Yes.
Which is often much harder.
Yeah, because you care about that. You also don't want them to, again, pull back into the polar opposite of the dynamic. So with this situation, I would first preface by saying whatever your style of assertiveness is, remember how you handle that. Are you more direct? Are you a person who kind of takes a problem straight on and addresses it? Or are you a little bit more passive in your approach? I tend to try a little bit more subtlety in boundaries first, And if necessary, I will be direct about it.
And I'm the exact opposite. I like to set the boundaries immediately
Yes.
and the expectations right up front so
Mhm.
that we're both on the same page. But both I believe are effective methods.
There's nothing wrong with either of those approaches.
Right.
And again, that's why I preface every time I talk about boundaries, I always preface it by saying you have to do this your way. Not Heather's way, not Jenny's way, not anybody else's way other than your particular flair. But there are some really good things to think about before you go in establishing boundaries. Number one, you need to know what you want before you go in trying to communicate it to somebody else.
Right.
So the question that I would ask this grandmother or this person who wrote this in to say is, okay, let's sit down for a moment. When you originally offered this or when this kind of came up, what did you picture the boundaries to be? When was the cutoff? When would you like that service to end? How do you want that to look? Does it have to be a hard cutoff, like 5 o'clock every day or 5:30 as soon as you get home, I'm off duty kind of thing? What specifically would you want that to look like? Number one. Because before you go in to have a conversation, you don't want to be wishy-washy about it. You want to be able to say clearly and definitively, this is what I'm picturing. And then two, I always recommend with conflict because, again, conflict is just friction. So when one person has an expectation about something and you have a different expectation, there's naturally going to be some friction there. Mm-hmm. Whether it be I expected the cupcakes to be vanilla and you delivered chocolate, we have friction because difference of expectation.
Or I expected you to load the dishwasher last night, and now I woke up and there is
a stack of dishes.
In
Yep, absolutely right. So conflict doesn't have to be ugly. It doesn't have to be scary. It just simply means that there's a difference of opinion or a difference of expectation here. So number one, solidify your perspective of what these boundaries should be, what you're expecting it to look like. Number two, focus on the priority, because that priority, again, is what's going to keep you from going into polarized thinking or cognitive distortion, right? The priority here, it sounds like from this listener, is that they want to be able to watch and play with their grandkids. They want to be able to enjoy the dynamic. It doesn't sound like this person is upset about the dynamic. In fact, she talks about it being a blessing at the very beginning.
Of course.
So, the viewpoint of this person sounds like this is a really positive experience, and I want to keep it a positive experience, but I don't want to be the 24/7 around-the-clock nanny.
Right.
And so being able to kind of bring that back in to where everybody can enjoy. And so the priority on healthy relationships is that it's reciprocated, right? So you give, I give. It's not quid pro quo. Love is not conditional, right? There's going to be times where other people are down and out and they need your additional help. So it's not like it's quid pro quo, but it is one where if both parties are contributing in different ways but somewhat equal to the dynamic, then this can be a really fruitful experience. And so it sounds like this person feels like they're over contributing a little bit and maybe feeling taken advantage.
Yeah.
So focus on the priority. I want to enjoy my family. I want to enjoy my adult children living here. I want to enjoy my grandbabies. So don't take that back, right? And focus in on that, because I would imagine daughter, right, wants grandma, her mom, to be able to enjoy the grandbabies too. Second part of that, make sure you have clear expectations when you go in, right? And in whatever way is your flair. So personally for me, because I'm much more of a subtle, what I might do is I might, after the kids get home from, your adult kids get home from work, be like, hey, I'm going to go jump in the shower. And, I actually think your dad and I want to go out for dinner tonight. So you guys can hang out here. You guys are welcome to join us if you want, but we're going to head out. We had plans for this evening.
Absolutely.
And what that does is it's not a direct way, but it does kind of put a very subtle boundary that you're home. I've got plans. I have a life. I have things that I would like to go do as an adult myself. And I'm going to go do that because at the end of the day, these are your direct dependent children.
And even if you don't have plans, you would like the ability to be able to make plans or lay on the couch in your skivvies. Right?
Whatever floats your boat. So, be able to kind of say that. Second, on the weekends, hey, we're going to go out and go do this thing. The boundary here is that these are direct dependent children of your adult child. Right. And so reestablishing that by letting go of that responsibility when they return home. And so I think sometimes we're afraid of doing that because we're afraid of letting people upset, but all that does is reestablish responsibility. It's not my responsibility to be the number one appointed. That is still your responsibility. I'm here to help, but I'm not here to do it for you. And if that doesn't work, if those subtle cues do not work, then sitting down and having a conversation with my daughter and saying, hey, I love you. I love watching my grandbabies. That is all I ever wanted to do in this world. But I also want to be able to have time to be a retired adult and enjoy my freedom too.
Absolutely. And I think what I have to say to that is, if you, and this is not just to this listener, but I see this a lot in my age group, women who became mothers early, they're becoming grandmothers early, we're having multiple families in one home. I just want to encourage you to listen to Heather, go back through this, rewind it if you're watching on the YouTube podcast, and just really go over what Heather is going over here, because you need to reclaim your season. God has several seasons for you, I find, and it sounds like to me that both mom and daughter are losing out on their seasons here.
Yeah.
Mom has already had her time in that season of raising children and directing them and supervising them, and she's missing out on her season of freedom, essentially. But on the other side of that, the daughter, she's missing a season too. I don't know what she's doing, if she's doing, schoolwork, housework, maybe she's just exhausted after work, but you're missing your season too, sweetheart.
Jenny, I think that's a really great point. I want to pause you for just 1 second. We're going to take a short break and then we'll be right back. And I really think that's a great spot for Jenny for you to pick back up on. All right.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to jump right back into our listener's question. I don't feel like I need to recap that.
Well, something you were talking about was anytime that there's boundaries that kind of fall out, right? Somebody's missing out.
Yeah, so you're going to miss your season.
Yes.
And so I was talking about not only the grandmother here losing her season of freedom and this space that God has carved out for her in her life, but also the daughter. She is losing her season, and this is her season of raising children. It's an exhausting season.
Oh, yeah. I'm in that season.
You're right. You're dead smack in the middle of that season, aren't you, Heather?
I am.
It's an exhausting season, but it is going to be your most rewarding season. And this next part is important if you do it right.
Right.
So this daughter sounds like she's missing out on her season. She's missing out on Saturdays with her children. She's missing out on evening time and sitting down to dinner with her children. So I just really want to encourage both of them to listen again over to what you, Heather, had discussed with the boundaries and the cognitive disorders related to the boundaries here. And reclaim your season, ladies.
Yeah. God
has joy in it for you.
And just to reiterate, because again, conflict resolution is something I love to talk about. I love to teach about it because, we struggle. A lot of people hear conflict and go, ooh, dirty word. That's something I want to avoid and get as far away from as possible. Conflict equals growth.
Yes.
We do not grow as people. I mean, the physical body does not grow. You can't grow muscle without putting strain upon it.
Right.
So you, as a spirit, as your character, you don't grow as a person unless you're pushed.
Right.
And unless you're in a situation that's uncomfortable. So in this moment, something I want to remind you about the person who wrote this question in is, by addressing these boundaries, you're not just protecting your own self and you're not just protecting your time, you're also serving your daughter.
Yes.
By reminding her these are those moments. I know how stressful it is to get home from work and have to be making dinner and figure out what I'm going to make for the whole family and stuff. But one of my favorite experiences, and my daughter and I share a journal back and forth. And it's funny because one of my favorite times is in that stressful time when she comes into the kitchen and I'm trying to figure out scramble and make dinner, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to make and pulling something out of thin air as to what I'm going to do. And she goes, Mom, can I cook with you? Yeah. And that's a moment where I can be like, no, get out of the kitchen. I just want to be able to listen to the news or listen to music and cook. No, that's a great moment where I can sit there and she can flip the potatoes that are frying in the pan and I can focus on getting the chicken done And we can sit there and have conversations about what our day was like as we're putting dinner on the stove. And Mom, who's grandma here, you're not just addressing this boundary to serve yourself, you're also addressing this boundary to serve your daughter, because she's missing out on those moments.
Yeah.
And if this is for other people that are dealing with conflict, when you're addressing that conflict and you are trying to problem solve whatever it has come in, remember, come at this from a perspective of, I'm not just trying to serve self, I'm also trying to help this relationship grow and be fruitful. Yeah. And if we have negative or unequal boundaries in this dynamic, both people suffer. One of them just doesn't realize it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Heather. I think that our listeners are going to find that very helpful. So now I'd like to move on to our second question.
All right, let's do it.
This one is directly to you. And this one really touched my heart, because I often think of this when I observe you in your natural habitat.
Ooh.
Or the staff at Awaken 360. So the question is, for someone who wants to pursue a career as a licensed therapist, can you please explain the process, hardships, and advice you have for someone who's just started school to become a licensed therapist?
This is actually something I care about a lot, because I had a big learning curve. You know, when I started, I knew I wanted to be a therapist early on in my life. So I actually went into hospital work. That's where Jenny and I met one another. And I was specializing with some pretty high trauma cases there. I had my supervision experience there. And so I was kind of cushioned a little bit during that experience. But I didn't have to ever register with insurance or anything like that. So number one, becoming a therapist, obviously it's a lot of school. So it's 6.5 years of college, roughly, for your master's. If you're going on for your doctorate, it's even more. It's usually another 3 to 4 after that, just depending. And so it's a lot of schooling. You're going to have a lot of internship hours. But let's talk post-grad. After you're done with your degree, there is a huge space that I don't think a lot of graduates are ready for.
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of graduates get a heads up about. And it's something, I reached out to a university locally and just offered to come in and share some answers to this very question in their graduating class. And I got no, we got that covered. And I was like, well, if that's covered, then why is it all these interns are coming into my office, and when I talk to them about what licensing is like and getting a supervisor if you're going private practice and what insurance onboarding is like and all this kind of stuff and the timeline that it takes, why are they deer in the headlights?
Yeah, and from someone from the outside, I see people who are dedicated to helping people, because there is this space, space that you're talking about, this season, if you will, where it's got to be difficult. I would call it the starving season.
Yeah, probably. It's hard. So we'll dive into kind of what that looks like. So you graduate, you have to wait for your degree to confer, which usually takes a couple of months. So yes, you're graduated.
So get a job.
Yeah, you're graduated and you have this master's degree, and that's amazing, and congratulations to you, because you worked your rear end off to get it. But now you have to wait for that degree to confer. So then the degree confers, right? And you have everything. You get all your paperwork ready, and let's say that you already have found a supervisor in the area.
Because, can you explain that to us, Heather? Why do you need a supervisor? When I got out of nursing school, they throw you in there. You have 2 weeks training with the facility you're at just to learn their protocols.
Right.
But after that, they think you're a real nurse. They just let you go.
Yeah.
So tell us about that space for therapists.
Yeah. So every therapist, every LPC, even social work. I believe the family therapist, MFTs, have to do the same thing. But everybody has a different set of hours. But you have to do a certain number of hours in order to be able to get your license in the state of Missouri. And it usually takes around 2 years under a supervisor. So you technically have a provisional license. You're not even operating under your own license. You're operating under your supervisor. So you have to find somebody in the community.
Do you learn that at school?
I think
that you're going to need this. That's pretty standard knowledge if you're going into this field.
I don't know. I think it depends. I hope, but I think
it is a requirement.
But it is a requirement. You can have your master's in counseling, but you are not a licensed professional counselor unless you have a license of your own. And in order to get that license, you have to go submit to the committee in Jeff City that you have this degree from an accredited school, and you have to have a supervisor on file that has agreed to allow you to operate under their license. And you have to put in a certain number of hours, and it's several.
And I've watched this process, and I just want to give it to you guys over there that supervise people. It is not an easy.
It's not, and it does put on a liability on your license, because if they make a mistake, it's on you because it's your license. So there's
now,
a
as
lot
a
of trust
nurse,
there.
I do understand that. So that's a scary place to be.
It is.
Having someone operate with your license on the line.
Yeah. So you get under a supervisor, they sign off on all your hours, and then you start working. Well, you have to wait for the committee to approve that documentation. And that takes time, sometimes over a month, just depending. So you've got the months for conferment for your degree. Then you submit the paperwork with your supervisor, and that's if you have a supervisor lined up. Then you have to wait for the committee to approve it. Then they send it back. You have to wait to get a PLPC license. And once you get that license number, then you get to send that off to Missouri Medicaid, because you have to apply to Missouri Medicaid. Otherwise, you can only see self-pay clients, right? And you're provisionally licensed, you're not specialized. So if you're paying $120, $110 for a session, you're probably going to apply that money to go toward a fully licensed EMDR or a TF-CBT therapist like me, right? So you're going to want to go see a specialist who's been in the field for generations, right?
If I'm bringing cash, I want the best.
Exactly. So you're not going to get the highest paying clients usually. So you're not going to make a whole ton of money right off the gate. And then you have to wait for your paperwork to get processed with Missouri. At one point in time, that took 6 months.
Right.
At one point in time, I was sending off applications for new providers, and it was taking Missouri 6 months. Now, thankfully, in the last couple of submissions, it's been significantly faster.
Oh, that's so great. That's such a yucky waiting process for not only the supervisor. I've observed it through Awaken 360, and
it's grueling.
We have had to tell new people right out of school in this waiting process, hey,
you're going to have to go get a different job until then, because you're not going to get Medicaid, you're not going to get insurance, you're only going to get self-pay during that process.
And they seem a little like, what?
Yes. So however long it takes Medicaid to process that application is what you're waiting. And then you get a Medicaid provider number. So once we have that number, then we get to apply to the managed companies who manage Medicaid in Missouri, because that doesn't even open up the door. And there's 3 different providers. And I'll tell you right now, we have 2 of those 3 that are opening the door and onboarding providers. One of those managed companies is refusing to add new providers. I actually just messaged one of our state representatives to find out what the deal is, because one of the Medicaid providers here in Missouri is refusing to add new providers. But yet we get calls every single day from members of that company who are looking for services. I have 2 PLPCs in my office right now who that company is refusing to allow me to add them to our roster. And these members are calling saying, hey, I'd like to get my kiddo in. You have a play-based therapist that's there in the office. Can I get them in? And I said, no, not if you're trying to use your insurance, because your insurance company that goes through that managed Medicaid company, they are refusing to let me add this provider. So the only way that they can accept that client is through self-pay, and we do sliding scale. But even the sliding scale, sometimes people can't afford $20.
Yeah.
And so this is
so
the
call
process.
your state representative about this, people.
Yes, and it's one specific company. I'm not going to say
that was
their
not
name.
my goal here. And
but honestly, we I think everybody's recognizing how severe the need is for mental health, and the fact that you have a managed Medicaid company that is refusing to let us add providers to be able to serve that need. I just, as a provider for
it's appalling
how long, I'm like, and I looked up the possible reasons why, and it was salt in the wound, I guess, to go, we are a nonprofit for a reason. We want to serve people. And when we have people calling us, when we have moms, when we have dads calling us to try to get their kiddos in, to try to get themselves in, when we have people calling us and they have that particular company all that we can say is everybody else is booked because they accept all 3 managed Medicaid and all the insurance, and they're specialized so they get the self-pay. Everybody's booked, and we're trying to get these in. These 2 guys are ready and willing to take these clients, but they can't because that company won't onboard them. So things that you have to be aware of when you become a counselor is insurance sucks.
Yeah.
Let's just
And that's
be
the
honest.
truth. That's just the truth. And that's all the way around the healthcare industry,
It's hard.
the mental health field, everything.
Yeah. And so be ready for waiting for those numbers. Wait for your license number, wait for the Missouri Medicaid provider number, wait for the managed Medicaid to open up their network and let you be added. And then wait to be able to put all that out there. As soon as you get all those in line, you can open up the gates and let people come. But it is a grueling process to get all of those things in line. And sometimes it takes 6 months, 8 months, 4 months. It really just depends on how fast that insurance company wants to process that paperwork.
And I just thought, Heather, this was such a wonderful question because I have just been on the outside of that as a member of the board and observing that. And so I didn't bring it up to discourage anyone from becoming a therapist, but if you're going to become a therapist, you should make sure that it is something God has led you into because there is a significant waiting period.
Yes.
Now, during that waiting period, there are beautiful things. Eric and I were talking about that before the show, and there's such beauty in the waiting if you try to recognize it.
Yeah,
unless you get caught up in one of those cognitive distortions, this one that I can't pronounce.
Catastrophizing.
Yes, thank you.
Got you.
I mean, I could try it. I'm not, I'm not too ignorant, but I don't want to put it on display for everybody.
All right, let's take a short break. Have you guys ever felt like you're capable of more, but you're not quite sure what's holding you back? That's why I'm excited to tell you about Awaken 360. Awaken 360 is focused on helping people break through limitations, gain clarity, and create real transformation in their lives. Whether you're looking to grow personally, professionally, or simply because the best version of yourself is waiting just on the other side of truth, Awaken 360 provides the tools, guidance, and the community to help you get there. What I love is that it's not just about motivation, it's about taking action. Through powerful programs, expert coaching, and practical strategies. Let's not get political here.
Political? That's not going to help.
No, it doesn't. Awaken 360 provides the tools, guidance, and community to help you arrive. If you're ready to stop settling, Jenny, you read. I'm dying over here.
Okay, people, if you're ready to stop settling and start stepping into your full potential, now's the time to take the next step. Visit Awaken 360 today and discover what's possible when you invest in yourself. That's Awaken 360, helping you awaken to your potential and transform your future.
And learn how to talk.
We'll try to help you with that. I just want to, regarding what we just read as a team there, recognizing, what does it say, your most positive self?
Mm-hmm. The best version of yourself.
The best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has that.
Yeah.
Everyone has that. No matter how bleak your situation, you have a best version of you, and you know it.
Mm-hmm.
So, recognize these cognitive distortions that you are settling into, and recognize the best version of yourself. I get so excited when I see people begin to do that.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite parts about working with the public, period, is watching people recognize their best self.
Yeah, and be able to recognize that they're becoming that.
Right.
And
Isn't
overcoming
that so
those things that
exciting?
were holding them back. Yeah. Well, one of the biggest challenges that young people face today is not a lack of talent, it's a lack of connection, confidence, and support. 40% of adolescents report experiencing loneliness. The Surgeon General's 2023 advisory reported that roughly a 70% decline in social interaction with friends over the past 2 decades. 61% of young people say that loneliness negatively affects their mental health, and more than 1/3 say that it disrupts their daily lives. We've never been more connected to devices in our society, but yet less connected to people. That's why I'm really excited about Awaken 360's Wake Up Initiative youth groups, those Y crews. Designed specifically for teens ages 12 to 18, these groups create a safe and encouraging space where young people can build confidence, develop leadership skills, strengthen communication, and learn how to navigate life's challenges with purpose and resilience. Through engaging discussions, mentorship, goal setting, and meaningful peer connections, students gain practical tools that help them succeed not only in school, but in life in general. They learn how to make positive choices, overcome obstacles, and discover the strengths that already exist within them. In a world full of pressure and distractions, every young person deserves a community that believes in their potential and will help them grow into the leaders that they're meant to be. If you're a parent, an educator, a community leader, or a teen looking for a place to grow, connect, and be inspired, learn more about Awaken 360's Y Cruise and join a group today, because the future isn't built by chance. It's built by young people who are equipped, empowered, and ready to lead. That is the mission of Awaken 360's Y Cruise. Join today and volunteer at awaken360.org. So let's dive into moments that matter.
Oh, yes.
This wraps up the end of our show. Whenever we get into this, we get to focus on some hopeful moments. We get to highlight real success stories from counseling and life, sharing meaningful change, breakthroughs, and personal growth that remind us that progress is possible, and it often comes in small but powerful steps. So today, I didn't want to bring up just one specific story, but I wanted to talk about something that I've observed time and time again in counseling and just in life in general. But when priorities shift in life, and when we talked about how to be able to overcome those cognitive distortions. I am tongue-tied today. It is amazing to watch how everything just kind of falls into place when we recognize what is most important. As a believer, one of my favorite hymnals, it's not my only favorite, but it's one of my favorites that I'll sing to my kids, but it's Turn Your Eyes to Jesus. Oh. When you turn your eyes upon the Lord, everything about the world seems to fade away, and the only things that are left are the things that are the most important. And so as a believer, Jesus is that rock for us.
Yeah.
He is who we stand on. And, last time we talked about prayer being encouraged in Christian counseling, and that being the number one thing. Why is prayer effective is what I want to ask. Why do we worship? We don't worship because God needs it. We don't pray because God needs it. We pray because it aligns our priorities with God's. Go ahead.
I really, as in any relationship requires communication. Mm-hmm. If you were going home, Heather, and talking to Shane and speaking to Shane, and Shane never spoke to you, mm-hmm. how would your relationship suffer?
I'd probably throw something at him.
Right.
I'd probably get a response from that.
Maybe we shouldn't ask that to Heather. But we have a loving God, and He wants us to come back every time. He's never going to throw the plate at us. Right. He's never going to throw the spatula at us. He's going to keep inviting us in for that conversation.
Right.
And not that your reaction is unique to any other woman. I think we would all have that reaction. But I think if you want a relationship with God, you cannot be that person that says, why does God always do this to me? Or why does God always allow this to me? What have you done for God lately, sir? How many times have you read your Bible this week? And not for, like you said, that's not for God. That's for you.
Well, and it goes back into what is the purpose behind this? And zooming out from just that question that we had last week about being told to pray, right? Let's put it into a different context. Like, one of the number one things I used to hear it all the time, and it drove me absolutely up the wall, was, well, I tried a coping skill and it didn't work. Well, what exactly did you expect that stress ball to solve? Right. Like, if I squeeze that stress ball 100 times, is suddenly my problem going to disappear?
Oh, man, that would be so nice.
Oh, it drove me crazy. Mm-hmm. Or, my husband and I got in a fight, so I'm going to go jump on the treadmill, or I'm going to run to the gym, and that's going to solve everything for me. No, it is absolutely not going to solve anything. In fact, depending on what you're thinking about the whole time that you're using that coping skill, your problems might be worse when you get off the treadmill.
Oh, yeah, don't leave me alone with my mind. Or on a treadmill, for that matter.
So this, I want to ask you, it's not about what you're doing. It's about how and why you're doing it. Yeah. When you pray, it's not about just sitting there praying and saying some random words that you maybe memorized or whatever it may be. It's about, are you trying in that moment to align your life with God's? Are you willing to get the answer back? Because sometimes we pray and we don't like the answer that we get back. Are you willing to accept that?
Right.
Because I may want this for my life. I may say that, well, I was wronged and this isn't fair and this isn't right. And then when I go to that and I get that sense of, well, what is God's priority and what is your priority right now?
Right.
They may not be the same thing. And so whenever you get into that coping mechanism, right, whatever it may be, a kid squeezing a stress ball thinking that that's going to solve everything. No, it is what you are doing in your mind while you are executing that coping mechanism. When you're worshiping the Lord, are you truly worshiping and recognizing who is in charge of your life? Because when you became a Christian, you said that there was one person who was the Savior and one person who was the Lord, and it certainly wasn't you.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So when you do those things, my challenge to you, turn your eyes to the Lord.
Yeah.
And remember, everything else in this world fades away. That job that you're so worried about is not going to be there in 100 years. That house that you're so worried about, that car that you're so worried about, that degree that you're so worried about. Yes, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm not saying that illness doesn't matter. I'm just saying that it's not even going to be a blip on the radar at one point.
And your relationship with the Lord is lasting.
Mm-hmm. So I want to leave our listeners with that reminder of that foundational truth. Everybody needs a foundational truth. And if you're a believer, it's the Lord. If you're not a believer, find one, because we all need one. But that's the end of our show today. We want to thank our sponsors today. We want to thank our listeners for being a part of Counseling Beyond the Couch. You can catch highlights and past episodes online at awaken360.org, YouTube, and Facebook. Jenny and I will be here every Friday afternoon, pestering your ears from 4 to 5. Until next time, remember the truth. You're here on purpose. You have a purpose, and when you're rooted in truth, you can overcome anything.
Thank you for listening to Awaken 360's Counseling Beyond the Couch with Heather Freeman, LPC, and Jenny Sodai, LPN. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel for the newest updates and programs. We are launching our A360Y groups for ages 12 to 18. To learn more and register a student or to volunteer to be a group lead, go to www.awaken360.org. Remember to email contact@awaken360.org or message us on Facebook to ask any questions or share your own stories. Until next week, you have a purpose, you're here on purpose, and truth will set you free to achieve that purpose.